everybody. Did you guys like our new beginning video? Frost Giant
Hello.
spent a lot of time making that. Isn't it awesome? Hello, Charity. Hello, Bree. Hello, Aerosmith Cat. Your heart is melting.
Hello.
Lil Wang said, OMG, that intro was the coolest thing ever. Bree got effing chills. The video is super cool. Yeah, Frosty did
Awesome.
a fantastic job on it. Good job, Frost Giant.
Yeah.
Charity says she needs something like that for her channel. Snippety snap. Get on it.
Yeah,
And look at my new backdrop, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah, that is very nice.
My friend Anna, who I see she finally has made a Twitch account that she perhaps can get into. She just followed an hour ago. She might be watching for the first time live ever. She painted this for her daughter's homecoming. Her daughter's homecoming parade float. And it was so cool. I was like, that would be a great backdrop. So she gave it to me. And I got to put it up. Yay. So welcome to the witching hours. Just so everybody's aware, there's no readings tonight. That'll be tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is reading night. Tonight is the witching hours. And as you can see, we do not have a guest.
Yeah.
Our guest, RVA Paranormal, had a sickness in their family, and they were not able to come and hang out with us today. But we didn't want to disappoint everybody.
Yeah, we are rescheduling. So they are going to be on. It's going to be an awesome show. Like we said before, we've already gone through some of the EVPs and stuff they sent us to check out ahead of time. And it's going to be really fun. And so we're looking at doing that very soon. Yeah. Like they were willing to reschedule for next week. So probably within the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing
I think a couple of weeks from now, we'll be able to do their show. But we didn't want to cancel for the second week in a row. So we came up with a last minute backup plan, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Tonight is very much going to be interactive for chat tonight. We're going to talk about the Mandela Effect.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of polls. So get ready for your poll. Get your poll finger ready.
Lots of polls. Yeah. Get your Wayback Machine brain working and try to think about what you think was real and what maybe is real.
What's real to you? Let's see. Little Wing said, makes me miss Twilight Zone, Tales from the Dark Side and stuff like that. You know, there is a new Twilight Zone out made by Jordan Peele, and it's on, what do we see it on? Is it on Paramount?
It's on Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. Hey, Wanderer, long time no see, even though you're in the room next door.
Because we're watching the new Star Treks right now, so that's on the same.
So Twilight, not Twilight. Good Lord, Twilight Zone. The new Twilight Zone is out on Paramount Plus. Yes, it looks so good. Thank you. I felt like I was in Ghost Adventure vibe. Alfred Hitchcock. Yes,
it does kind of have an Alfred Hitchcock kind of vibe,
the clocks and stuff. OMG, it's gorgeous. Oh wow, it's such a cool painting. Yes, I'm so excited to have Anna's gigantic, ginormous painting behind me. All right, ready for this? Ready for some polls? Bree, thank you for contributing to the Spirit Art giveaway. Hello, Cosmic Carly. What a great name that is. I like your little heart emotes. Welcome. All right, do we want to do the first poll? Which one should we do first?
Yeah, I can do a poll. So what is the...
You tell me, and then I'll show the pictures.
All right, well, let's do the most famous one, which is the bears.
The bears. Okay.
I'll get the poll going.
All right, so I don't think I can make this window fill up the whole entire screen because then you will freeze.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to make it as big as possible. All right, so think back to your childhood if you're as old as most of us are here. to the Berenstein Bears. Which one of these is correct? Here's this one.
What do we think? 5 minutes? That'll allow us to get through the news.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Berenstein with an E. So that's choice number 1. Or there's a second option. Or, if I can open them up correctly here. I'll get quicker at this as the night goes on, I promise. Or option number 2, Berenstain.
You have the Berenstain Bears.
Which one
do you remember
is correct?
The Berenstein Bears, or do you remember the Berenstain Bears?
Which one is correct to you? So we have Berenstein, Berenstain. Berenstain. Frosty's going to put the poll up. You tell us which one is correct.
And for the fun tonight, do not Google these answers.
No,
just
rely on your memory.
Rely on your memory. And it'll be interesting to see what results we get.
Artsy fartsy. There she is. That's my friend Anna, and she made the background. So tell her how gorgeous it is, because she probably missed all of your chat comments.
Yeah. It looks great. So the polls at the top. Click 1 or 2. Berenstain Bears or Berenstein Bears.
I'm going to participate as well.
Yeah, I did also. Okay. So for the news this week, we have one that's going to be a little different. We'll get to that in a second. So we talked about it a couple of episodes ago here on the Witching Hours about the launching of the James Webb Space Telescope.
Yeah. Actually, Artsy Fartsy and I, we went to an art gallery together today, and the lady there, she had did a whole series of paintings of the Hubble Space Telescope images. And we asked her, we're like, are you gonna like revisit your series and like do the web ones? And she was like, no. She's like, I think that it's for the time, like I want people to remember it for the time of it being the Hubble. So it's interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah. So we talked about that on here, and we kind of talked about how cool that was going to be and how important the Hubble had been, and so what that is going to play a role like for science and people who are into space and stuff like that. So anyway, the James Webb telescope has found the oldest galaxy we have ever seen in the universe, and the photograph is viewing a galaxy 300 million years after the Big Bang, not 300 million years in the past. 300 million years after the Big Bang. So they're looking back billions of years into the past.
And we could see it?
Yeah, just weeks into the mission, the James Webb Space Telescope has broken the record for oldest galaxy ever observed by nearly 100 million years.
So it's not like we like sensed that it was there through some sort of mathematical stuff,
No, we have a picture
actually saw it and took a picture.
There's a picture.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's a picture of it. Seeing some of the first galaxies to form after the Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago is one of the key goals of the James Webb Space Telescope. When these emerged is currently unknown, the previous oldest identified galaxy found by the Hubble Space Telescope is called GNZ11. And dates back to 400 million years after the birth of the universe. So we're going from 13.8 billion years down to just a couple 100 million years. So It's very possible now that within our lifetime, I mean, this is extraordinary, because if you can knock off 12 billion years, is it possible during our lifetimes that we see
the beginning,
the Big Bang?
Can we see the actual Big Bang? That'd be crazy. All right, let's take a look at chat here before you move on to the next the next topic. Cosmic Carly said, hello, happy to see you. We're happy to see you as well. Thank you for coming and joining us. Little Wing said, I hope people are old enough to remember some of these things. I remember this. I feel a little old, said Free. Cosmic Carly said Berenstein. I remember specifically.
The poll is still up top for a couple seconds.
Yeah, a couple more seconds.
And it's gone.
88% said Berenstein Bears. Before we give the answer, let's continue going through the chat here. So Aerosmith Cat said number 2. People are saying hi to Anna. Cosmic Carly said, this messed with my head so much. Anna's getting lots of love over her painting. Charity said, somebody told me my paintings remind them of James Webb Telescope pictures, and I'm quite flattered. That is very true, Charity. Yeah. Your paintings do have a very space quality to them. Little Wing, you missed the poll this time. Well, you can get in on the next one. We're going to have a ton of polls tonight. Hola! Hola, hola. I feel like I can never say your name right. Help me out, Frosty. How do we say her name?
What? Whose name?
Amelie? Am I saying it right? Amelie?
Yeah, Amelie.
Our friend from Spain. Hola, yes. Amelie. Okay. Let's see. Okay, yes. Get on the next poll, Little Wing. You feel like you're wrong, though. You picked number 2.
You said definitely 1.
There's no wrong answer because it's what you remember, Bree. It's what you remember. Okay. Now, Frosty.
Yep. There's no wrong or right.
What is the answer that we are to believe is correct?
The correct answer, according to all the information we have now, is Berenstain Bears with an A. Okay. It is the Berenstain Bears. They didn't change their name. If you go back and find a book from the 1980s, it will still say Berenstain Bears on it.
Yes.
And this is probably, well, besides where it got its name, this is one of the most
popular
things that comes up when you talk about the Mandela Effect, which is, well, let's get into it after we finish.
Aerosmith Cat said, stop.
Yeah, it is the Berenstain Bears. Now you can feel free to Google the Berenstain Bears, but don't get too far down the road because we have a bunch more of these.
Just wait till after. Wait till after the show to Google anything.
You can go on a 2:00 in the morning YouTube.
According to whatever, this is supposed to be what it actually is with an A.
Yeah.
But
if you go buy a book now,
88% of you guys said that you thought it was with an E, right? Sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong things. Yeah, I thought I still had it open. Where is it? I told you.
You're going to cause me to have a seizure.
I'm sorry. I can click back and forth. That's okay. So let's look at them again. Let's look at them one more time. All right. So this is what I remember it with an E. And
I remember with an A.
88% of you said you remember it with an E.
Yeah, I remember with an A. I've always pronounced it Berenstain Bears.
But that's what Frost Giant remembers it as.
Yeah.
I remember it with an E. Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Next up in the news, Oklahoma man accused of killing fishermen out of fear of being eaten by Bigfoot, authorities say.
I love Bigfoot stories, but this one is a little disturbing.
An Oklahoma man confessed to killing it's always a Florida man or Wisconsin man has kind of become a thing now.
Now we're going to get Oklahoma.
We get Oklahoma man confessed to killing a fellow fisherman out of fear he'd be left alone in the wilderness to be eaten by Bigfoot. This is from NBC News. Larry Doyle Sanders, 53, made the bizarre confession to 2 special agents with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation on Sunday as they probed the death of Jimmy Glenn Knighton, according to an arrest affidavit for suspicion of first-degree murder. Sanders and Knighton had gone noodling in South Canadian River the previous day.
Hold on. Stop there. Noodling. If you are not familiar with what noodling is, it's when people go out into the water to catch catfish with their hands. They let the fish grab onto their hand with their mouth.
Stick them down a hole.
And pull it up.
And when the catfish bites their arm, they pull their hand.
So let's leave that there about these guys in the woods going noodling. Continue.
All right. So Sanders said that the two men had gotten into a physical altercation, according to the affidavit. Larry, and this is quote, Larry claimed that while at the river, he discovered Jimmy intended to feed him to Sasquatch/Bigfoot, the affidavit said. Larry indicated Jimmy attempted to get away from him so that the Sasquatch would eat Larry. Larry could not let Jimmy get away. Larry punched Jimmy and struck Jimmy with a stick. Larry and Jimmy fought for an extended amount of time on the ground, and Larry confirmed he killed Jimmy by choking him to death near the river. And Sanders drew a map and everything, and they were able to find the area because of that.
Poor Jimmy got killed by his friend because, what even happened there? Like, which one of them said,
yeah, like,
I'm gonna leave you out here and get eaten by Sasquatch, and then all of a sudden they're fighting with each other,
had they seen, like, previously, had they seen?
Did they see it that day? Like, had they seen Bigfoot right at that moment and they were like flipping out? Yeah,
I feel like there's not enough information to that story there.
That's crazy.
And for the last news story I want to do tonight, this one's a little different. This is like something I found on Facebook. So I'm a member of one of those groups of like a place I grew up in, which is like the Tidewater area of Virginia. And so it comes to my feed a lot, and usually it's just stuff that I don't care about and I scroll through, but this one caught my attention. So a woman said, I grew up in South Norfolk, Virginia. One late afternoon, I was walking home. Her mother and her were walking home from doing some business. We were on a street going home and saw several spaceships flying in formation. No lie, they were round, large, silver, not round like a ball, but round and thick. I think there were about 8 of them, and this was in circa 1965. Did anyone else see them? And I was like, wow, that's a really odd thing to have like on a group like this. So I looked at some of the responses, and to my surprise, there were like tons of people from that area who were like, yeah, like my dad told me about that. He talked to the local news station. My grandmother was, like talked to somebody and she was in the paper talking about this. Like all these people knew exactly what this lady were talking about. And I was like, well, this is really weird. And then people started posting news articles. So if you saw earlier in the week, Medium Jenny Lee was desperately telling me that no one could see the Witching Hours news on the Discord. But if you want to go on the Discord, Medium Jenny Lee's Discord, and go to the Witching Hours news, I have posted the news articles from the papers at that time, and there are like multiple reports.
So I just put the Discord link in there if you haven't joined our Discord yet. And yeah, you can go read the articles that came out at that time of all these sightings of UFOs in Tidewater in the 60s. It's crazy.
So just to mention one of them here. So a large flying object that reportedly landed near the community of Tawano in James City County last January 22nd has not been identified. And so it goes into this, and it talks about eyewitnesses, and some of the eyewitnesses were military and police officers. So yeah, if you're ever looking for like, a lot of people like to research UFO sightings. And so this is one that I don't think has been researched a whole lot. I haven't heard it talked about before, but there's a lot of information on that. So there you go. Weird UFO sighting in Virginia back in, what was it, 65?
Yeah. So this has been the Paranormal News, Witching Hour segment of the Paranormal News.
That's the news.
Yeah. Bigfoot killing, but not by a Bigfoot. Aliens. Galaxy from a really long time ago. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool. Okay, so people were flipping out about the Berenstain Bears.
Okay, so let's go into a brief history here on the Mandela Effect.
Yes.
I first heard about the Mandela Effect, and it gets its name from Nelson Mandela, who of course who was from South Africa. He was imprisoned. He was in prison through the 1980s. In the 90s, he was released from prison, and then he became the president of South Africa. And then apartheid, which is the racist social system there, fell. So if you don't know who Nelson Mandela is, that's a very brief description of who he was. And so people knew who he was around the world because he was kind of on the level with like Gandhi and stuff like that. Like he was someone who was known as this person who was willing to sacrifice socially for justice. Yeah, exactly. Salty.
Yeah, salty.
So, one of the first time I ever heard about this is the radio show that this show kind of, I was inspired by to start this, called Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. I remember him talking about a caller coming in and wanting to talk to him about Nelson Mandela. And he said, well, Nelson Mandela died. And this is in the late 80s, he said, or early 90s. He said you can find the tape of his show where he says this.
Yeah. So even Art Bell thought that he had died.
Nelson Mandela had died. And many people, many people, I think the last thing I heard from a woman who studies this is that over 30% of people think that Nelson Mandela died in the 80s or 90s. Yeah. But in all actuality, Nelson Mandela actually just died a few years ago. Like it wasn't that long ago. And it was big news, of course, when he died. I think Obama was president when he died.
Yeah, I think so.
And so this whole idea that people have different versions of the past is known as the Mandela Effect. And the question about the Mandela Effect is why does this happen?
So, Frosty, will you put up a poll real quick? Who remembers him dying in the 80s? And who doesn't? I would like to know. Let's have a new poll here. So Salty said she remembers him dying.
Okay.
Salty also said that you're wrong about the Berenstein Bears. And Bree said, fudge that. Little Wing said, E2, Frosty? No way. And poor Emily said, wow, you guys are talking about the Mandela Effect. I love this, but I can't understand you. Lo siento. I'm sorry that you can't understand us. My Spanish is crap. How many of us were around in the 80s? Me.
Well, yeah. So some of these are going to, if you're younger, but it will still be interesting to see if you have any.
If you might not have been alive in the 80s to remember it. But yeah, like Bree said, she doesn't remember Nelson Mandela at all, which is fine. So
it's up.
Yeah. So here's the poll. Did he die in the late 80s or 90s? Or did he die in 2013? What do you remember? What do you think? So yeah, there's a ton of these. A ton of them. And the Berenstain Bears is one of them. But it's named after Nelson Mandela. Because that's the biggest... that's the biggest one. Because, yeah. I remember where I was. I was at my friend's house, and we were playing because I was like 8 or something, and we had been playing, and we had MTV on because that's when MTV didn't suck yet, and the MTV news came on, and it was like a breaking news thing, and they said Nelson Mandela has died, and I was like, I have no idea who this man is, but I very much remember it. I remember the exact moment. And then many years later, he got out of prison. I was like, how can this man get out of prison if he died like a long time ago?
I can't vote on this one because I don't remember him dying, but I remember him being on the news a lot, but I was young enough to where I was like, it was just something on the news.
Yeah.
So I can't remember if the news stories were about him being in prison or if the news stories were about him dying. So, but I was surprised when he died. I was like, didn't he already die? So I won't put a vote on this one, but
Salty said this is how you get put on the list, in quotations. They are watching. Salty, I've been on that list probably for a long time, so we
have witnesses. You guys can keep us from disappearing because they'll know. You guys will know. The more people we get in here watching the witching hours, the least likely we are to disappear.
Mm-hmm. But if we do, you know what happened to us. We were on the list.
I don't remember, Little Wing says, I don't remember either. I remember him well, but anything about death. But not anything about death. Cosmic Carly, yeah, I am on the list. Yeah, I think a lot of us are probably on the list. I know I got put on the list a long time ago for reading. Well, I don't know. I never checked it out. My friend always did. So, but a book from Cooper.
William Cooper, Behold a Pale Horse.
Behold a Pale Horse. Yes.
Yeah. That's a crazy book, and it'll make you super paranoid.
So we still have about half the time on the poll. I'm putting them up for 5 minutes. So we only have 4 voters. So vote.
Yeah. If you remember, if you were old enough to be alive then.
We kind of gave away the answer to this one, though.
But it wasn't that it's an answer. It's I wanted to see how many people have the memory that is supposed to be a false memory. Or what is it? Artsy Fartsy said, I'm definitely on the list. Yeah, I think you're definitely on the list. Sorry, I suck at writing because I have to do it all day long. Bree said, it doesn't let me vote, but early, I'm guessing. Ooh, it didn't let you vote this time. Oh, we got 1 vote for 2013 this time.
Okay.
All right.
And we kind of knew this one, so we're just seeing what people thought.
Yeah.
We'll go right into another one after this.
Because really, I also remember him dying in 2013, but I also have the memory of him dying in the 80s, you know.
Well, everyone's going to have the memory of him dying in 2013 because this was after 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of reasoning that puts in for the Mandela effect. So what is the Mandela effect? Why do we misremember history? And one of those questions right off the bat, especially being someone who has studied history a lot, I have a master's degree in history, is that people don't remember very well. Mm-hmm. Like our brains tend to make up their own stories. And if there's gaps, our brains kind of naturally fill those gaps.
Them in to create a story. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, so a lot of people might remember, like me, Mandela being on the news a lot. And so they just take it for granted that it was because he died.
There we go.
Such a big deal.
So 5 people out of 5 people, 4 people thought he died in the 80s and 1 person did not.
Yeah.
All right.
Other ideas about the Mandela effect are that at some point in time in the late 90s, early 2000s through 2000, early 2010s, we entered somehow into another universe that we went through like a wormhole, or the fabric of time switched, or something happened, and we actually live in a different reality than we lived in before. And we're just in this very similar reality where just like little things have changed. Now, here's a thing we can do without a poll, but just curious in chat, how many people feel like the last 10 years just hasn't seemed right? Like we live, or maybe you disagree.
Yeah.
But how many people feel like something with our reality just doesn't seem right to them? Because I feel that way. I feel like something about reality just seems askew.
And if you don't, that's fine too.
It's fine.
Let us know. You think it's not different, and you feel like it is different. Thank you, Fassy, for contributing to the Spirit Art giveaway. I appreciate it.
This is just all a conversation.
Yeah, discussion.
sharing of ideas. And
Artsy Fartsy said, I feel that way too. Salty said it's glitchy. Like time is glitchy, or the stream is glitchy.
or our technology.
Are we glitchy? Or are you talking about like time is glitchy? Thanks, Frosty, for contributing to the Spirit Art giveaway. Yes, time is glitchy. Yes, I have some personal stories about that I'm going to share later. Actually, I remembered another one last night I forgot to write down. I'm going to add in here.
Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Oh, thanks for subbing again, Frosty. 15 months. Holy crap.
Yeah, I know.
That's a long time. Wow.
Yeah.
I've been streaming that long already?
I guess that's probably how long you've been streaming.
Yeah. That's great. So yeah, who else feels like time has been weird for like the last 10 years or so? Like stuff just doesn't make sense. Things feel out of whack. You can't understand how life could be this way. Like how, what happened? Does anybody else feel that way?
Like a big one for me, and we try to stay out of politics on the show as much as possible, but so I'm not going to say anything about like one party or the other, but I just feel like politics itself is just like really weird. Like the way politics is conducted isn't the way politics were ever conducted before. I feel like, and this is something that could come from someone who's just aging and starting to see the world change, but
you're getting old. You sound like an old person.
Very, hey, that could be another explanation for the Mandela. It really could. But it's just, just all these different things that happen, and you go, something about this reality just doesn't seem right. I don't feel like I often just don't feel like I'm from my own place.
Yeah. All right. While you guys are contributing to the conversation some more here, let's get another poll going. Which one would you like to do now, Frosty? And I'll try to be much better at showing them.
Let's do the candy.
Kit Kat?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the one that really got me.
All right. So let's see. All right. Let me see if I can make this screen a little bit bigger without making it completely cover everything up. Okay.
Yeah, for this one, it's going to be which one is the real logo or wrapper.
Which one of these is the correct wrapper for Kit Kat? Number 1, Kit Kat. Number 2, Kit Kat with a hyphen. So let's look at them again. Number 1 is Kit Kat, no hyphen. Number 2 is Kit Kat with a hyphen. Which one of these wrappers is the correct? Hyphen or no hyphen? No hyphen?
I'll talk about this one when we do that.
No hyphen?
So we got 5 minutes on this poll, so take your time. Think about what you remember the Kit Kat logo or wrapper being like. Dash. I can't
is a hyphen
polls, but I still
the wrong word.
Yeah, it could be hyphen.
Sometimes it feels like I'm in a simulation because I'm so different from others. Like this can't be real.
That's a whole nother show. But
like the Truman
simulation
show.
For sure.
Yeah, Foombi feels the same way.
That's a whole nother thing. Like, kind of going on that little wing. Like, so I was going through a thing about, maybe it was about a year ago, maybe it wasn't quite that long ago, where I started to wonder whether it mattered, whether it was social or not, because I couldn't prove to myself that anybody else is real except for me. Like everybody else could just be part of a simulation that's like playing inside of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And so like even my wife or my kids or my best friends or my colleagues at work or whoever, like did any of them really matter? Because I couldn't prove they were real. Like maybe they were just programs. So it's like one thing. Like,
are we living within a dream within a dream?
An existential crisis. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bree said her polls weren't working. She had to leave and come back. So Little Wing, maybe you need to leave and come back too, and maybe the polls will show up for you.
But you vote no hyphen, so we'll add you in there. Vote no hyphen.
And
Salty Frog said this is a new one for me.
And Emily said that
holy
happened
shit,
with
this happens to me with Coke. Well, Coke did change though. Coke had they changed their logo in the 80s when they did the new Coke. Is that what you're talking about, Emily, or do you have a different one?
I think she might be talking about something else. Yeah, she might not be able to answer us because of her language barrier.
I'm sorry, Emily. I took like 5 semesters of Spanish, and I should be able to communicate much better.
Yeah, I took 5 years of Spanish, but that was like in the ancient before times. That was like Stone Age times.
I can say I took 5 semesters, Estudio 5 semestres en la universidad. But like, I just can't.
Espanol.
I actually can't say anything I need to say.
Yeah,
I can't say anything.
Have
I need
a conversation.
To say. Yeah. Okay, I had to leave and come back. All right. Little Wing. Yeah, exactly.
Descartes.
Yes, like some Descartes.
Descartes.
Shit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Descartes for sure.
So, okay, so the poll is running down. So on the last Friday's reading night stream, some of this stuff was coming up, not the particular Mandela Effect conversation, but I mentioned something about the year 2012 and people started like getting all weird, you know?
One second. Salty Frog, hold that thought, because that's going to be a poll later. So don't.
We're going to talk about this Shazam movie too. I started mentioning the year 2012, and people started asking about, what do you mean 2012? And I said that would be good for the witching hours. So that's kind of what we're also going to talk about tonight. Is 2012.
Who said that? Someone said 2012.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you mean 2012? I can't remember who it was on Friday. It was a couple people that were worried, that were wondering what am I talking about? 2012. So, if you remember, or you might have known already, they talked about it a lot. The Maya calendar only went to 2012. So people were flipping out because they thought the world was going to end because the calendar didn't go any further. But that was because the people didn't realize that a new calendar would start. The Mayas didn't just have a calendar that ended. It starts a whole nother cycle. The calendar starts over again.
Yeah. And if you're old enough to remember the year 2012, because I know we have a lot of younger viewers on Twitch. I know some of you are like our age. So, but if you remember 2012, like you weren't a little kid, I mean, we remember they had like a movie that came out. 2012, the movie, and then like it had like into the world parties, and
people thought
like some people were legitimately freaking out. Yeah.
So there was already something around the year 2012 because of the Maya calendar. And we'll hold that thought for a second because the Kit Kat vote has ended. 60% said with a hyphen, 40% said without a hyphen. So, Frosty, what is correct?
I'll just say I 100% remember, like without a doubt, this is the one that got me to buy into something that's going on, because I remember the hyphen in Kit Kat, and the hyphen never existed in Kit Kat. That one is wrong.
The hyphen does not exist on the Kit Kat
logo, and that has always been the Kit Kat logo. There has never been a Kit Kat logo with a hyphen in the middle. Now, I'm a large guy. I've eaten lots of candy in my life. I have had quite a mini Kit Kat bar in my day, and I 100%. I actually have like a memory of staring at the wrapper and seeing the hyphen.
That damn hyphen.
And when I saw this, I was listening to the radio when they were talking about it. And so they were like, did Kit Kat have a hyphen? I'm like, of course. And I could picture it in my head. I pictured that exact rapper in my head because I'm listening to it on the radio. So there's, I can't see anything. I'm like driving somewhere. I'm like, of course it had a hyphen. I can picture it in my head. Mm-hmm. And there it is right there, but it never existed.
Never existed. No hyphen in Kit Kat. Yeah. Okay.
Or at least it never existed in this
universe. Okay, so let's see. There's been a lot of things. So Emily said, don't worry, it's my fault. I don't understand, not yours. But we're trying with our Espanol. Okay, yeah. Thank you for whoever suggested leaving and coming back. Polls are working now. That was Bree.
We need
I'll hold. I can do this all day.
We need Twitch to do like some closed captions. Like we need so we can.
Yeah, Bree said that she was waiting for that 2012 end of the world day.
Yeah.
Hello, Jupiter 22. Jupiter 22, first time chatter, said, wasn't there also some guy who predicted the world would end in 2012 as well? He bought billboards and stuff. Yes, there was. I don't remember that guy's name, but I do remember that as well.
Was it like a religious leader or something?
I think so, yeah. Cosmic Carly said, no way, capital letters. I definitely don't remember the hyphen, Little Wing says. Salty says it's lies.
Yeah.
Jupiter 22 says they also don't remember the hyphen. That thing sticks out like a sore thumb, and I'd have noticed it. Mind blown. I remember the hyphen. My 1980s Halloween candy says otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, and that's the other
Harold Camping. Wanderer knew it. Harold Camping was the guy who put up the billboards.
And that's the interesting thing about this is that it definitely wasn't a situation. If we're talking about a possibility of like the fabric of two different universes kind of like brushing up against each other and somehow the consciousness is like changing over to different universes, it wasn't everyone, because Little Wing does not remember the hyphen and like says like, I would remember that because it sticks out. But like I actually have a memory of looking at the rapper and seeing the hyphen. Or earlier when I was one of the only ones who remembers the Berenstain Bears. But a lot of other people remembered Berenstain Bears. So whatever's going on here is something that doesn't necessarily happen, like not everybody, but usually with most people I've talked to, there's always at least like one thing that they remember that's different. But
you know what's weird though is like if somehow we switched realities and some of us stayed in like the past reality and some of us flipped to some new reality, but we got all jumbled up, wouldn't it be that some people remember all of the things a certain way and some people remember the other things all a certain way? But it's like one person can have it mixed up, like you remember the hyphen, it doesn't exist, but you knew it was an A and not an E. How is that possible?
Because it used to always remember, because I remember at one point, because I'm picky about that, like when people mispronounce things.
Yes.
I'm picky about that.
Yeah.
I can be an a-hole about that stuff.
Yeah, you married someone who can never pronounce anything, so.
So I remember it bothering me when people would say Berenstain Bears, and I'd be like, it's Berenstain Bears. What was? But this is like way before, I'd ever heard of this. Like, why does everybody pronounce it wrong? So now it makes sense. So like, why there's this difference. So
the Wanderer said there's a good YouTuber called Internet Historian that has a really good video on Harold Camping. Highly recommend it. Thank you, Wanderer.
Harold Camping, what was he, like a religious leader?
We are going to, Salty. We're getting there. Yes, I think he was, if I remember correctly. So yes, so let's review. We have the Maya calendar ending. Some religious cuckoos were saying that the world was going to end. And something actually did happen in the year 2012. That there's a theory that this is why we switched up realities. And that is the Hadron Collider. Jeremy, will you explain to everyone what the Hadron Collider is?
Well, first thing I have to know is CERN is the company, CERN. which let's see, it's the European Organization for Nuclear Research, and they built this Large Hadron Collider where they can take
Switzerland.
They can take particles and shoot them around at like the speed of light and collide these particles. And there's probably someone in chat who knows way more about this stuff than I do, because I'm a humanities guy, not a science guy. But they run these particles together at huge, massive amounts of speed
through like miles and miles and miles of tubing.
Yeah, the track that these particles go along is really long. And when they collide, they're able to break apart these particles and find other particles. And in 2012, they discovered the Higgs boson particle, which is the tiniest particle we have ever found and is still at this point referred to, or was when it was discovered, it was called the God particle.
The God particle, because it's the particle that gives matter mass. And Stephen Hawking, one of the most scientifically genius person of our time, said that if the God particle became unstable, that it could destroy the universe. He said that before he died. So in 2012, on July 4th, 2012, they discovered the God particle by blowing particles up in this hadron collider at each other.
Yeah, the Large Hadron Collider is the actual name of it.
In 2012.
And I remember, once again, no one will ever be able to say this show is an original idea, because I'm constantly bringing Coast to Coast and Art Bell into this. But I remember people calling to Art Bell and Art Bell having shows about this in like the 2000s. People just like having supreme high anxiety about like CERN and this Large Hadron Collider and what was going to happen, and like, you know, afraid that like they were going to create a black hole that was going to like swallow the planet, and like just, you know, tons of things. And then there were scientists who would come on, like people with PhDs in science, who would come on and say that there were ramifications and, you know, possibilities of us messing with something we didn't understand with the Large Hadron Collider. So did something happen? We don't know.
Something happened that sent us spiraling into a black hole where our reality is slowly decaying? Or did we flip into some parallel universe and everything got jumbled up? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Salty Frog. You know, they have it up and running again. CERN started back last month. Yeah, there's been a few times where they've closed it down for like a couple of years to do like to upgrade it or do maintenance, and so it's running again. All right, let's go back. Where did we leave off?
So the Wanderer let us know more about this Harold Camping guy. He said he owned a mega church called Family Radio, more of a radio station, but also a big church organization. And then, let's see, Cosmic Carly said, I remember the opposite. I've always corrected to Berenstein. Salty said,
me and you would have gotten in a huge argument. we would have sat there and argued about it for 5 minutes.
Salty said, you must have got your books and candy at the same place. Yes.
Elementary school.
CERN is up and running. Cosmic Carly said, haven't they ever seen any superhero movies? I know, really. This is the end of the world stuff. Yeah. But not necessarily end of the world, because we're still here. This is 10 years ago. We're still existing. The world did not end. But did it change?
Although Marvel is in this whole multiverse of madness.
Yes.
Thing, so
where did that come from?
It is more Marvel than we thought. And
let's do another poll. Give me another one.
Well, you pick one. You have them. Oh, okay. Well, someone brought up, let's do one since I think it was Salty that brought up one earlier. Let's do Shazam.
Okay, well, that's just one picture, so I can't really screw this one up too bad. Okay. Everybody knows who Sinbad is, right? Here's Sinbad. He was a pretty big actor in like the 80s and 90s. So, Frost Giant, tell us about this particular movie. Let's see who remembers this movie.
First off, do you remember Sinbad? Because Sinbad's kind of been out of the limelight for a while, but Sinbad was kind of a big stand-up comedian in the 90s.
He was on some like TV shows and stuff too.
Some people remember him starring in a movie called Shazam, and this is probably about 1996, roughly.
And he played a genie.
Where he played a genie. And so Sinbad, who's a comedian, it was like a little kids movie, like maybe like a teeny movie, family movie, where he plays this funny genie and they get into all kinds of shenanigans because he's goofy and so on and so forth.
So put up the poll. Do you remember Shazam? Do you remember Shazam starring Sinbad as a genie?
And I have a story about this one as well, but I'll wait until the poll's finished so I don't alter the.
Yeah.
Which I know you guys are going to put where you want to put anyway, but I don't want to alter. I don't want to alter the poll.
Bree says yes, I remember him. Cosmic Carly said yes, I remember it and loved it. I also remember Shazam with Sinbad as a genie.
So I wanted to say something else earlier about, someone said, like, haven't they seen the Marvel movies?
Yeah.
Like, you're messing with time.
Haven't you ever seen any of my movies?
We have to remember that the higher ups in our society are the same people who in the 1940s detonated an atomic weapon when a large, not a majority, but a significant portion of the Manhattan Project that were working on nuclear weapons thought that once the atomic weapon was ignited, it would ignite our atmosphere and the whole world would burn. They weren't sure if that would happen or not. Like, they hadn't come to a scientific consensus on it. They thought that there was a possibility that once they ignited an atomic weapon, the whole atmosphere would light on fire and the world would burn. And they did it anyway. They did it anyway. So
we're not, it's a 50-50 chance that we're going to destroy the whole entire planet, but let's blow the shit up anyway. Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Bree, I never saw the movie either, but I do remember it. Like, I remember seeing commercials for it, and I remember it, but I never actually saw the movie either. Yeah. It's craziness. They still blew it up anyway.
Right now, we are at 100%. Do you remember Shazam? 100%.
So, Frostgiant, I think this would be an excellent time, since we're talking about blowing stuff up, and also you referred to the Manhattan Project, to tell your little known bit of historical information about World War I.
Yeah, so this is something I came across when I was a graduate student in studying history. So during World War I, and I'm a history dork. I've read a lot about history. I don't know, there's tons of stuff I don't know about. I'm always learning stuff, of course. But I came across this thing called the Black Tom bombing in New York. And I had never heard about this before. But essentially, German spies in World War I were able to infiltrate New York City and ignite a very large, powerful series of bombs that exploded a train station. They were trying to stop the U.S. from supplying Britain with weapons and material. We hadn't entered the war yet. We were just sending stuff over to Great Britain. And so the Germans tried to stop that by this huge bombing. The bombing was so big that it ended up damaging the Statue of Liberty. So repairs had to be done to the Statue of Liberty, and people died. There were a couple of kids who died. It was a big deal, and it was called the Black Tom bombing. And I had never heard about it before in my life. Never learned about it in school. Never heard about it in a book. I didn't hear about it until after 2012 when I was in grad school learning about this. So once again, we have another story here.
And what I want to know is,
did this happen in another version of history, or did this happen and for some reason our country just never talked about it?
Because
you would think if we were bombed on our home soil, we would have learned about it.
Because, okay, for example, Pearl Harbor. We have a frickin' Pearl Harbor Day. You know? It was like the one time, I thought it was the one time that foreign enemies attacked on US soil. It's supposed to be the one time it happened. But this is saying that there was another bombing during the First World War. Yes, and World War I in frickin' New York City. How would we not talk about that? How would that not be a thing that we learned about? Because Pearl Harbor is such a huge thing that we still talk about and learn about and make sure we don't forget.
Yeah, and if you read about it now, it says it's one of the things that drove Americans to actually enter World War I on this side of Great Britain.
How would we not know about that?
Exactly.
Okay, so Artsy Fartsy said, I worked at a video store in 1995 and would rent it out to kids all the time. And we would play it at the store because we had to play PG movies. 7 people voted and 7 people said they remember Shazam.
Shazam was never a movie with Sinbad. It never existed.
Never existed. People will come up to Sinbad and say, I liked you in that movie Shazam. And he'll be like, what in the hell are you talking about? I was never in a movie called Shazam.
It never existed.
Anna,
you can look it up and you'll see stuff about it, but it's only because they're talking about the Mandela Effect.
Anna remembers watching it in the video store and checking it out to kids. That's a pretty big memory of it, of multiple memories of that specific movie.
Now, there was a movie I think called Kazam that had Shaquille O'Neal.
Yes. Kazam.
I remember that one
with
too.
Shaquille O'Neal. But I don't remember Kazam with Shaquille O'Neal. I remember Shazam with Sinbad.
It's funny because I just looked it up on Google real quick, and people are asking if Kazam was a sequel to Shazam. So, man.
There was never a Shazam.
Yeah. So people remember it, but it was never made. You can't find any record of that movie actually ever being.
Little Wing said there's a new Pearl Harbor documentary on Netflix, and it's very good.
I'll check it out for sure.
My timeline didn't have Shaq. Me neither, Salty. See, me and you are from the same timeline. Kit Kat with a hyphen, Berenstein Bears. There was no Kazam. It's frickin' Shazam. What in the actual hell? Yeah, I don't understand that one. I wonder if I have the VHS. You won't anymore, Cosmic Harley. You know why you won't have it anymore? Because we went into a parallel dimension where the shit doesn't exist anymore. You will not be able to find it.
No.
It disappeared. Nope. Gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
So there's
we got more of these.
There's another theory as to why this is happening to us. And the other theory is that we live in a simulation like the Matrix, and these are things that glitch out. They're glitches in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
Yeah, they have to go back and patch something.
Yes.
When something gets patched, something gets messed up, and there's a bug.
Which I have seen multiple videos also of animals being frozen in time. Now, could the videos be doctored? Yes, but that could also be another one of these situations where if we live in a simulation, that stuff is glitching out. But all of these things could be glitches in the Matrix. That's another theory that excludes the parallel dimension theory.
Yes. And just to talk to Brie Marie here, she said Shazam came out in 2019, and there is a new movie called Shazam.
But that is
not. But the one we're talking about had Sinbad. And so I had a quick story about that, because this brings interesting information, because one idea is like if you were to like have transferred to a different timeline or universe or whatever is going on, dimension, it's not just you, but like the people that you're with. So like, for instance, in 1996, me and Medium Jenny Lee were together.
Already dating. Yeah. We were high school sweethearts.
I remember standing in line at a Burger King with, I think, Fumbi and looking at like a cardboard cutout
of Sinbad
as the genie, because Burger King was the one who had the contract to put the toys in the kids' meals.
Wow.
And so I remember that more than I remember advertisements for the movie. I don't remember ever seeing it because I was like a late teenager at the time. So I wouldn't have watched that movie then because I didn't have kids and I wasn't a kid.
Yeah. We would have been too old to watch it.
I specifically remember the cardboard cutout, like in the line that you had to stand in when you're going to get your Whopper, and looking at like the toys that were in the little display case that was inside the cardboard cutout.
That's crazy. Carly was asking about the frozen in time. So there's these videos of animals and they're like frozen. Like there's birds in the sky that aren't flying. They're like stuck. And I saw another one where it's like a whole field of sheep and the sheep are not moving. None of them. For like minutes. And then all of a sudden, like you see a tail flick and then they all start moving again. Crazy.
Like a time slip or something?
Yeah. There are airplanes as well that glitch in the air. Yeah. I haven't seen the airplanes for Salty, but yes, like that would be like the same thing as the birds. Actually, you know what? Hold on a second. I have never told anybody this before. This is first time confessions of a weirdo. Let's hold on a second. Hold on.
What in the world? This place is weird.
Okay. We were living in Texas. So this is somewhere between the time of 2009 and guess what year? 2012. We were in Texas, driving down somewhere in Texas. I don't know where we were going. I don't know what we were doing, but I know it was in Texas. And it was not somewhere close to where we lived. We must have been going somewhere else, which we went to a lot of places in Texas, so it could have been anywhere. There was a frickin' airplane in the sky, really low, not like a passenger jet or anything, but it was a decent size airplane. Kind of looked like it could have been like a cargo plane. And it was just sitting in the sky, like not that high up. And I watched it and I watched it and I watched it and I watched it. And I was like, that thing is not moving. It's not moving. But I played, like my brain played it off. And I was like, it has to be the effect of us driving in the car, like moving, that makes it look like it's not moving. You know, like when you're a kid and you look up at the moon and the moon looks like it's following you, you know? I just assumed that it was that kind of thing. But now that Salty brought up the airplane glitch in the air, I wonder if that's what it was. Yeah, my memory is definitely predates 2019. Yes. Yep, we're high school sweethearts. Oh my gosh.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Salty, I've seen them, and there is a group of people too in a video. Oh, people frozen too. Oh my goodness. Is someone willing to write some of the stuff we're talking about in chat so that Emily can translate it in her translator? Because she would like to know what's happening.
I will say this, Emily. We do put all of these up on YouTube later. And yes. YouTube, I think, will translate, if I'm not mistaken.
It might, yes.
Because I'll watch like videos that are posted by like Europeans who are speaking like Norwegian or something, and I can put it on so I can see the subtitles.
Yeah, I don't know if Twitch has.
And we love,
captioning.
Yeah, I wish it did. It should, I guess it'd be hard because it's like live, and I think the closed captioning live has to be like written beforehand. Maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
know.
not.
Hold on, I'm typing about the YouTube thing to her. Okay, they're looking it up. Okay. All right, let's do another poll.
Okay, another poll.
One of the ones
Let's do the other one that was brought up. The Fruit of the Loom logo.
Okay. Getting it ready. All right, here we go. All right, so there's another one. Get yourselves ready, people. All right, here's your first option. Fruit of the Loom, just fruit. Option number 2, Fruit of the Loom with fruit and a cornucopia. What do you remember? Just the fruit? Fruit with a cornucopia. Let's look again. Just the fruit. Fruit with a cornucopia. What do you remember? Frosty's getting the poll ready. I personally remember the cornucopia. Because I feel like that's the first time I ever saw a cornucopia and wondered what it was.
Okay, poll has started.
All right, poll is up. It just had fruit, or it also had a cornucopia. Put your votes in there.
Right. Brie Marie says, I just remember the fruit.
The fruit.
Salty Frost. This is a hill I will die on.
I love you, Salty.
I mean, I was a kid. I was like a little kid, like I was born in 80. So like pretty much my whole like little kid ages took place in the 1980s. And I think Fruit of the Loom might have been like the only person then who made like little underwear.
Tidy whities for little kids. Yeah.
And I remember this logo like positively because I saw it every day because I had Fruit of the Loom.
So you remember it with the cornucopia?
Underwear as a little 5, 6, 7-year-old frost giant.
A wee frost giant. So you remember it with a cornucopia?
I'm not going to say till the polls are.
Okay. Wander said it's just fruit. I'm positive on this. Bree says my voting isn't working, so I guess I'm going to have to Google this after. This is literally how this whole generation learned about cornucopias. See, Salty, I think I agree with you. I totally agree with you. That's how I feel like I knew what a cornucopia was because it's from the damn Fruit of the Loom logo.
I feel like we need input from Fumbi. Little Wing, you need to holler at Fumbi
Yes.
and get his input on this.
Little Wing, ask Fumbi. Cornucopia or no cornucopia? So what do you guys think? Why are we experiencing these things?
Yeah. So what does everyone think is going on here?
What do you think so far? Is it a time slip? Or are we going into different dimensions? Is it like dimensions mixing and melding with each other? Are we dying in a black hole somewhere? Is it a Matrix type of situation? Are we in a simulation
where things are glitching?
What is happening? Bree says I knew cornucopias from Thanksgiving. Fumbi doesn't remember. That is a cop-out. Fumbus.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't really know what the hell is going on, but he's Grumpelstiltskin right now. Grumpus. Grumpy. Grumpus. Grumpelstiltskin.
All right. So we're about halfway through. This is pretty close. We got 2 votes for it just had fruit and 4 votes for it also had a cornucopia. So it's 67% it had a cornucopia. I will say that we've gotten far enough into it now. I remember the cornucopia, and just like I think it was it Bree who said it, or no, it was Salty Frog. that is how I learned what a cornucopia was. Because I asked my mom, what is
this thing on the Fruit of the Loom logo?
Yeah.
It's frickin' cornucopia. That's all I didn't ask. Cosmic Carly said a combination. Okay, so this was something I was thinking. I was thinking maybe they just changed their logo and that they took the cornucopia off. But we'll wait till the votes are done before we give the right answer.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue with all of these is it's oh well, maybe they just changed their logo, but for all of these they've been researched, and you can find the logo you're looking for, but it only exists when people are having conversations and someone created it to show them what they remember due to the Mandela Effect. You'll only find those logos attached to Mandela Effect, like Reddits or blogs or conversations or news articles or whatever.
Oh, Cosmic Carly was talking about a combination of stuff.
Oh, like a glitch and a switch.
Glitch and a switch, yeah. Yeah.
But, I was talking earlier about, you're with these other people. So I didn't quite finish that thought, but so me and Medium Jenny Lee were together then. So if we have different memories about things since that happened, then does that mean that you could be with different versions of your loved ones?
Creepy. Okay, there's the poll,
I could
results.
be a multiverse. I could be a multiverse individual.
Yes.
Who is now,
and maybe we're just blaming. Maybe we're just blaming your weirdness on the fact that you're a Gemini, but really it's not that you're a Gemini. It's that you're constantly switching out between Jeremys. Maybe that's what the problem is here.
Yeah.
I never know which one I'm going to get every day, and it's not the Gemini thing. It's different Jeremys. So here's the poll results. 4 people said it has a cornucopia, and 3 people said just had fruit. So that one was really close. That one was almost 50-50.
Yeah.
So what's the correct answer?
The correct answer is no cornucopia.
No cornucopia, guys. But Frosty, are they saying it never had a cornucopia ever? Like the Kit Kat?
It never had a cornucopia.
Like the Kit Kat never had a hyphen.
Never had a hyphen.
Never had a cornucopia.
No, because if it had a cornucopia, then it's easy to explain. Well, I remember it because that was the logo back then, right? Because logos change.
Yeah, they do change logos.
Oh, I remember when Facebook was Facebook, but now it's Meta. Yeah, obviously, because it changed.
Yeah.
But in this case, Fruit of the Loom never had a cornucopia.
Because I do remember distinctly seeing it with no cornucopia. And I was I just thought, oh, they must have taken it off. They must have just changed the logo. And now I wish I would. And now I wish I knew when that was. Was it after 2012?
We have to remember that Wanderer, he distinctly knew that it didn't have a cornucopia, but Wanderer is my spawn. So he is significantly younger than me.
Yes.
And so that plays a role in remembering things after 2012 versus previous to 2012.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another thing. Can we come up with a date of
when did shit
people
switch?
Born at this time? Remember, because you got to remember, you're not going to remember necessarily the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years even necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Facebook
so
is Meta. Yeah, Facebook is owned by a company called Facebook is Meta now.
I didn't even know that. RC Farsi said, I read that the universes are in a bubble-like state, and ours has a bruise, and that the bubbles touch and then intertwined. Ooh, I like that analogy. We got 2 universes that are intertwining with each other. That kind of makes sense. Lies. It's all lies. For sure a lie.
Yeah. Well, for sure, Little Wing. She says, I knew there was no cornucopia too, and I'm an old granny. But
Gamma? Gamma Little Wing.
That just shows that something is happening here. But when you add in younger people, they might not remember. They maybe haven't been around long enough to notice a difference in switching back and forth, or will they switch back and forth? Was this one event that happened? Or is this an event that's going to continue to happen like sporadically? Or was there just like one crossover where people from different like universal timelines got all mixed together because a bunch of pieces of fabric like touched each other in the universe or something?
Because they blew up shit in a Hadron Collider. Bree said, now I feel like I'm remembering myself getting white underwear for somebody, and I think the cornucopia was there. Salty said there are a few comedy skits that parodied the For the Limb label around the same time, but I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, because I remember the tag like on the back of the underwear.
Salty, I think that was, and I think that was Saturday Night Live. I remember them dressing up as For the Limb fruits.
It was all like bright colors, but then you had like this kind of like yellowish, brownish thing that kind of stuck out. So
yeah, weird stuff, man.
Okay, ready for another one?
Yep. This one really messes with me. It's the C-3PO.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. You guys know your Star Wars? Everybody know their Star Wars? Here's your choices. C-3PO, totally gold. Gold top to bottom. C-3PO with half a silver leg. What is C-3PO look like? What does C-3PO look like? Is he all gold? Or does he have one half a silver leg? What do you guys think? Silver or no silver? Get my vote in there.
Don't say anything. We won't say anything until after the poll is over.
So I kind of like the bubble theory that Anna brought up, because if they were like continuously intertwining, that would kind of make sense why things seem to constantly be changing, or there's like some bits for some people and some bits for other people. Little Wing said, Foombi says silver leg. Star Wars nerd has spoken. Silver leg.
So Foombi always remembers a silver leg. He doesn't remember a time when the silver leg was like different.
Wander says silver leg has to be.
Okay.
So, okay, so the next bit of stuff that I would like to talk about. Now, this is just some dude from Twitter, and I have not officially looked up all of his information to see if it's true or not. But this was a thread of Twitter tweets from a guy named Nick Hinton, and he posted them in 2019, July of 2019. And he brings up some really weird stuff. And one of the things he brings up, and we touched upon it earlier, not in the same way, but the Statue of Liberty. So there's this whole thing he brings up about the Statue of Liberty. Like, where is the Statue of Liberty? And there are images that he's shared in his Twitter tweets of pictures that says this is where the Statue of Liberty is, on Ellis Island. But in the picture, there is no Statue of Liberty.
Well, real quick, everybody put in chat, where is the Statue
Where's
of Liberty?
the Statue of Liberty? Is it on Ellis Island, or is it on Liberty Island? And definitely answer if you've ever been there before. Have you ever been to the Statue of Liberty? Where is it? I have never been there myself. I don't know. And to be honest,
I've seen the Statue of Liberty, but I've never gone.
I don't know the answer to this from my own memory as to which one it's on. But in this Twitter thread, there's images, lots of images and videos from the internet of people like with they're supposed to be taking a picture with the Statue of Liberty, but behind them there is nothing.
All right, Little Wing. Little Wing says, I've been there and I climbed to the top on foot back when it was still allowed. How high could you climb?
Did you get to go into the torch? Were you allowed to go into the torch? So Little Wing says was on Ellis Island. Wander says it's Liberty Island because they had to make a man-made island just for the statue, so they called it Liberty Island.
You went all the way up. Okay.
You went all the way up into the torch. Wander says, if I'm wrong, I have lost faith in reality as far as the C-3PO goes. So there are two things about the Statue of Liberty that this guy brings up in his Twitter tweets, which I have not, like I said, I haven't researched them, so I don't know.
This kind of connects with my bomb thing earlier.
But there's images on Ellis Island with no statue. Says there's a Statue of Liberty there. No Statue of Liberty. Because the Statue of Liberty is on Liberty Island. So Aiden is correct. The Statue of Liberty is not on Ellis Island. It's on Liberty Island. So, but I never knew where it was. So I cannot participate in that one to know.
I mean, Ellis Island is where
the
so many immigrants came in. The immigration center and all that stuff. And then you can see Liberty Island and the Statue of Liberty as you come into Ellis Island.
Okay, so here's the results of the C-3PO. 71% of people said that C-3PO is all gold, and some people say he has the half a silver leg.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What's the correct answer, Rusty?
He has half a silver leg.
He has half a silver leg. What in the hell? No, this one, this is like Salty said about the fruit of the loom. This is the hill that I will die on because he never had a damn silver leg.
I always remember him being completely gold.
Me too.
But I saw this in a Mandela Effect article a couple years ago. And so when the newest Star Wars came out, the last Star Wars movie that came into theaters,
he has half a silver leg.
I had seen pictures of old movies with him having a silver leg. And so in that movie, I looked for it and he had a silver leg. But Fumbi is a Star Wars nerd. I am a Star Wars nerd. I've seen the movie tons of times. The originals, the prequels. And I do not ever remember seeing a silver leg.
Me neither. I thought he was all gold. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, he's got a half a silver leg. And what the hell are you talking about? He's not having a silver leg. Now I have seen it in the new movies and I noticed it, but never in the old movies.
But I mean, if we go put on episode 4 right now.
Now he's going to have a silver leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the chat here. Okay.
I went to the tour. Okay, yeah, let's go through here. So,
I just thought wrong.
Little Wing said, yeah, but I did climb up the damn thing. Narrowest stairs imaginable. The Wanderer said, I knew it. Little Wing says, yeah, I truly didn't know. I didn't ask when I was there or anything. Wanderer said he had to have a silver leg because he was built with spare parts.
That does make sense.
And Salty Frog says, I went to the torch as a teen, but I always thought it was Ellis Island where the immigrants came into.
Yes. So here's the other part of the Statue of Liberty information that this Nick Hinton guy has said. There are pictures that people have taken inside of the torch. But the Statue of Liberty's torch has been closed for over 100 years.
And the connection with that is that it closed from the Black Tom bombings. So much damage was done to the Statue of Liberty that they had to close down the torch to do restoration work on it. And once they did that, they never opened it back up again.
But there's pictures from inside the torch. And you guys remember going in the torch. And there is an episode of Reading Rainbow where LeVar Burton gets to go in the torch. But I don't know if that was like specific for like it was a special occasion because they let him go in the torch.
Are there people who have been allowed on the torch? I could see that happening because it has been repaired, but it just hasn't been open to the public. So if someone said I went there just on a normal tour and I went into the torch, then that is Mandela Effect stuff there.
Now I have to pull my photo of him out. Salty, you're gonna see a picture of yourself standing in thin air. It'll look like you're levitating because it was never on Ellis Island and you were never allowed to go in the torch. But I mean, this is crazy stuff, right? It's craziness. I think we just made the assumption. Little Wing is talking herself out of the fact that she went to the torch.
Yeah. I think it is easy to confuse Ellis Island and Liberty Island because they're right next to each other.
It would be easy
see the Statue of Liberty from Ellis Island. But yeah, the torch thing, like if you remember going into the torch, that's a whole nother issue. Okay, what's another poll?
All right. Do you want to do one of the word, like the phrase ones? There's a couple of those. The Silence of the Lambs or the Mr. Rogers? Or Freddie Mercury?
Well, let's do the Silence of the Lambs one. And I'll get the quotes here.
Well, Frosty gets that together. No, I was there on a school trip. We were there. Salty, I think me and you are from the same universe. I don't know where all these other people are from, but me and you so far have been on point. The same thing. Everything has been the same. Everybody else, you guys are all mixed up. The rest of y'all's mixed up. Me and Salty, we know what's up. This is trueness.
All right, so what does Hannibal Lecter?
Oh, I changed the wrong screen. Hey, everybody.
What does Hannibal Lecter say to Clarice Darling, right? In her last...
Yes. Have you seen Silence of the Lambs? Have you seen parodies of Silence of the Lambs? There's been a lot of those. What does he say to Clarice? Good old Jodie Foster. Anthony Hopkins. Two amazing actresses. It was a school trip for Little Wing too. Wow. You guys went all the way to New York from your places of residence, which were not anywhere near New York.
All right, so what does Hannibal Lecter say to Clarice Darling in Silence of the Lambs? First choice is, hello, Clarice. The second one is, I was going to put definitely not hello, Clarice, but that won't fit as an option. So I'll put good evening, Clarice.
Okay. Here's the poll. Hello or good evening? Can we take a poll on the color of the eyes of Darth Vader on Darth Vader's helmet? I don't even know that one. Artsy fartsy.
I don't know if I know either. I thought they were just black. Well, I guess that's the question. Right? It was like a black grill, I thought, kind of.
It was a special trip, Young Singers Institute. Ooh. Nice. Fancy schmancy. School trips must have been wild back then. Now we just go to the other side of town.
No. we have students who go to Florida and Europe and all kinds of places. You just actually have to be doing stuff in school. I wasn't in any clubs, so I didn't get to go anywhere cool. But if you get involved in clubs, they go cool places. I love this movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The Wanderer said they are blacked out and reflective. Yeah, that's kind of what I picture, like a black kind of reflection.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
About Darth Vader's eyes.
All right. So far we have 5 for
Hello, Clarice. Oh, you missed this one. Boo.
Missed the what?
The poll.
Oh, we can still go. We still got.
It's still on there.
75% of the time left.
This has just turned into trivia night. You're making a corn dog.
We just got some really good corn dogs the other day.
They were pretzel dogs. Some, like,
Nathan's pretzel.
Yeah, Nathan's really pretzel dogs. Frozen food section. They were pretty tasty. Yeah. You just have to cook them longer than it says to cook them for.
I'm that way with anything that you cook in the oven, to be honest.
It needs extra time to get crispy.
So, okay, so we were talking about the New York thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's interesting that people remember going to the Statue of Liberty and going into the
torch.
The torch. I remember people going to like the visor and like looking out through like the crown.
Oh yeah, the crown part. Mm-hmm.
The crown part is what I remember people going into. Mm-hmm. But I think it's interesting that that is connected to the Black Tom bombing. That's why it got shut down. And there's like a connection there because so many people don't know if that happened or not in their past. Mm-hmm. So it's like there could be like a timeline where that didn't happen and the Statue of Liberty never was damaged, so it stayed open. And then a timeline where that bombing did happen, and so the Statue of Liberty had certain parts of it that was closed down.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I did crown. I just know I was about to die.
I bet.
It's so far up. Now you want a pretzel dog. They're pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So 6 people are feeling pretty confident that Hannibal Lecter said, "Hello, Clarice." Any more votes? It's ticking down.
All right. And so we have, 100% of people in here are saying that Hannibal Lecter says, "Hello, Clarice." It's like one of the famous movie lines.
So we thought.
And if you see any like comedian or anyone doing an impression of Sir Anthony Hopkins, they're going to break out the hello, Clarice. But Anthony Hopkins, playing the role of Hannibal Lecter, never once said, "Hello, Clarice." He did say "Good evening, Clarice" somewhere in the movie. It wasn't a famous line, but that's the closest you can get to it. But people remember that being like the first scene that he's in, like when they meet for the first time.
Oh, now Little Wing's getting on it. Now she says, "Absolutely no way lies." She finally got on the bandwagon with Salty on this one. No.
Is this the hill that you will...
this is the hill Little Wing's going to die on. We're all dying on hills this evening. All of us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, he never says it.
Never says it.
The most famous line from the movie in most people's minds was never said. Now, there was one I could have put in here that's also put up on the Mandela Effect articles, and that's with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, where Darth Vader says,
"Luke, I am your father."
Luke, I am your father. He never says it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Luke,
Wanderer was typing it too. Luke Wanderer was typing it.
Yep.
This is like
Luke,
the big
I
thing
am
with
your
Star
father.
Wars.
He never says that in the movie. What he actually says in the movie is Luke is actually saying, "You killed my father," and Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father."
How did that get messed up? Little Wing's gonna go watch Silence of the Lambs now. Salty said, I remember when they renovated and shut the arm down for good. I remember thinking how sad that my kids won't get to see the view. Wow. Yeah.
1916?
Yeah. Salty, you're pretty damn old, lady.
It was shut down in 1916.
Salty's gonna get pissed now. So no Luke, I am your father. No hello Clarice.
I left the Star Wars one out because I feel like that could have been something that just kind of got misconstrued over time.
Yeah.
Because the I am your father is still right. It's just like Luke is switched out for like no. So I figured that one could be kind of maybe not a great example.
Okay.
But that's another one that's often listed.
Next, let's do the Monopoly Man.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to get the Monopoly Man up.
All right. So how do you remember the Monopoly Man?
Here is the Monopoly Man with a monocle. Remember, a monocle is the little eyeglass that just goes over one eye. Or does the Monopoly Man not have a monocle? So here's no monocle. Here's a monocle. No monocle. Monocle. Does the Monopoly Man have a monocle or not? The poll is up. Wanderer said, oh my god, the Monopoly Man, I heard about this one and he messed me up for weeks. Oh, one Wanderer finally got messed up on. Monocle or no monocle?
Yeah. Did the Monopoly Man have a monocle or no monocle?
Okay, so I think it's time for my weirdest story ever. Are you guys ready while we're doing this poll? All right, hold on. It's very important that we do this.
What in the world? This place is weird.
Okay, prepare yourself. Get your Team Weird emotes ready. Here's my story. It happened in 2013. I was putting my daughter to bed, who at the time was about 2 or 3 years old. Her bedroom was very small, and we have a very large dog. So whenever I would go to put her to bed, I would make sure I shut the door, because if he came in the room, there was no room in there. So I took her to bed. I stepped over the dog because he was laying in the hallway. I took her in her room. I shut the door. I put her to bed, read her a story, gave her a kiss, and I turned around, and this is what happened. This is 2013, by the way. The door is shut. The door is still shut. And you can believe me or not believe me. It's okay if you don't. You're on your own path here. The dog appears inside of the room, but he shows up first as like a swirl of black, because he's a black dog. He shows up as a swirl of blackness, and he opens up like a telescope. You know, like a telescope or an eyeglass will you can compact it down and then you pull it out and it gets bigger and bigger. He opened like a telescope and he was inside of the room with us. I saw it happen with my eyes. He was not in the room. I had to step over him. The door was shut. There was a swirl of a black circle. He opened up like a telescope and he appeared inside of the room, and he was in the room with us. And I could not get to the door. Like he teleported. Now, something else happened right after this. And Frosty can say that this might just be my memory, or that I just didn't realize it, that it didn't exist, or, I didn't know about it or whatever. But the fact that these two things coincided with each other at the exact same time, to me, is not a coincidence. So I'm completely freaked out. I have no idea what the hell I just saw, or how this could even possibly happen. Hey, Charity. And I go out into the living room, and Frosty is there, and Wanderer is there. He's really small at this time. He's like a little kid. And I tell them what just happened. Completely like whacked out of my mind. Cannot believe this happened. And after I tell my story, and they say whatever they say about it, I sit down on the couch and they're watching television, and a commercial comes on for this happens at the same time, guys. A commercial comes on for a company called John Hancock Financial. And it's a whole, commercial, however long a commercial is, 30 seconds, a minute. And I had never, ever heard of or seen John Hancock Financial. I had never seen it. I had never heard of it before. And here was a commercial. Yeah. And I look at Frosty and I say, do you know about this? Do you know about this John Hancock Financial? And he's like, yeah, they've been around forever. And I'm like, I've never heard of it before. And at that moment, with what happened with the dog, and with what happened with the commercial, I felt like I had switched realities, like me personally.
And I had seen the John Hancock commercials before they don't advertise a lot, but I remembered them from when I was a kid. We looked it up today, and
we looked it up. They've been around since the 1700s, or the 1800s. The John Hancock Financial Company has been around since the 1800s. I had never seen it before. Mm-hmm. And it happened right after the dog story.
After the dog teleported into the bedroom, which I was not.
So ever since then, I wondered if I switched timelines. Like in that moment, like I saw it happen. It's crazy. Okay, so
we have
results.
Let's go over chat here. We have Wanderer said, oh God, the Monopoly Man, I heard about this one. He had me messed up for weeks. Little Wings said, so he teleported. Cosmic Carly said, oh my goodness. Cosmic Carly, this one boggles my mind and I love it. Wanderer, teleporting dog story. I remember that night I saw him laying outside the door, and then later he walked out with him. Yeah. Salty Frog said Monocle would have liked in the shed with the stuffed animal that talked without batteries. Yeah. So are you? Oh, okay. Salty Frog, laugh out loud. Charity's back. My keyboard is all over the place. Oh my gosh, we heard a boom tonight and the power and internet went out. So I went outside with Mimi to check it out.
There was nothing out there, but there was a giant antenna tower.
You can see from my porch that I've never seen.
Freaking serious? Charity. No freaking way. Mimi said it was always there and I never seen it. This jumping timeline stuff is real. Holy shit, Charity.
That happened to me once, Charity. I was a transformer or something. Mimi said it was always there. I never saw. Okay, yeah, you read that.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So for the poll, oh man.
The poll disappeared on me. But the majority of people, I think, said he had a monocle.
He had a monocle. And for the big reveal, the Monopoly Man has never had a monocle.
Monopoly Man never had a monocle. But see, I wonder if we're getting the Monopoly Man I wonder if we're getting the Monopoly Man and the Planters Peanut guy confused, because the Planters Peanut guy has a top hat also. So are we transplanting the monocle of the Planters Peanut guy onto Monopoly Man?
I don't know. I remember seeing a few years ago, I remember playing Monopoly and seeing him without the monocle, and I thought they were just like updating it to make it like more relatable.
Yeah, like something. Nobody wears a monocle anymore.
Yeah, I thought it was just like an updated Monopoly Man, but he's never had a monocle.
Cosmic Carly, I think the peanut guy still has his monocle. Charity, I don't know what the hell just happened to you. There was a boom, the power in the internet went out, and then all of a sudden there's a giant antenna tower that never existed to you. But Mimi says it did. That is insane.
Salty Frog meant to say that the dog would have lived outside with the stuffed animal.
Oh, the dog would have lived outside. But see, Salty, I don't think it was the dog. I think it was me. I think in the alternate reality, the dog was inside the room with us. Because of the commercial. The commercial makes me think that it wasn't the dog, that it was me. Yeah, no monocle. I came to the conclusion that it was just our mind putting together the image of a wealthy man, and it's a stereotype, so I explained it with that. To me, I feel like it could be us confusing the peanut guy with the Monopoly guy for that one. Like, I feel like I can explain that one away, and I don't have to get, like, worked up about it. But some of these other ones, I can't understand. I'll send a picture of the tower tomorrow. There is another little tiny detail that I have that goes along with this, Charity. I have a photograph that I took of a church in Chichicastenango in Guatemala. It's like, I can't remember the exact name of it, but the stairs of it are the original stairs of a Maya temple. And then, of course, they put a damn Catholic church on top of it. But so I went there in 2008. Okay, so the picture was taken in 2008. I've had the photograph hanging up in our bathroom since we moved in 5 years ago. It might not have been up that long. We'll just say it's been up for at least 3 years. I've seen the picture. I don't know how many times, because it's one of my favorite pictures I've taken. On the stairs of the church is a bunch of people. Some are standing, some are sitting. They have different things. Like, there's a bag with flowers in it. There's a roll of toilet paper. There's like a lot of weird stuff in it, right? However, about a year ago or less, I got up off the toilet because it's hanging right above the toilet. And I turned around and I looked at it. And there was a kid at the very edge of the church wall running. And he had never been in the photograph before. Because he's right behind the dude with the roll of toilet paper. I have looked at the man with the roll of toilet paper since 2008. There was never a child running behind this man in this picture. And now there is a child running behind the man with the toilet paper. And wow. maybe I don't remember it. Maybe it was like something I forgot. But it's one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. I look at it all the time. And because the man has a roll of toilet paper, he is very clear in my memory because it's funny, you know? He's got a damn roll of toilet paper. And now there's a kid running behind him. It's like your antenna tower that just showed up out of nowhere. Oh, goodness.
It's, like, the ones for me, like the Kit Kat one for me was like, we talked about dying on that hill, the Kit Kat one, the Fruit of the Loom one for sure. And I would almost put the Shazam one up there as well. Yeah, because I remember the cardboard cutout from it. I just, there's quite a few of them. What time have we got? We got 10, almost 10:30. How about we do one more?
I think we'll do one more. Before we get another one up, let's read the chat. Wander said, they're putting those new antennas quick now, huh?
Yeah.
They got it up real fast, Charity. That's what happened. You definitely jumped a timeline. Yeah, they are putting up those towers real quick. Oh my gosh, I just got chills all over when you said that. I'm so glad you guys are talking about this. I've had multiple experiences like this, and I know it's real. I'm so glad that you are here to validate us and also for us to validate you, Charity. Okay, so which one do we want to end with? What's another good one? Because some of them I feel like they are misremembered things.
Oh man, there's so many good ones still.
What about the peanut butter one? Or the Freddie Mercury?
I would almost rather go with one of the picture ones, like the
Curious George.
Do you have Febreze?
I do have Febreze. You want to do the Febreze? Which one? Curious George or Febreze?
Let's do Febreze.
Febreze. Okay. All right. Here's Febreze.
Like the household cleaning items so your couch doesn't stink.
So here it is spelled F-E-B-E-Z-E. Here it is spelled F-E-B-R-E-E-Z-E. So does Febreze have one E in the middle? Or does Febreze have two E's in the middle? One E in the middle? Two E's in the middle. Frosty's gonna get the poll up.
We'll do this one for shorter. I'll just do it for like 2 minutes. Okay.
I got chills about the picture too. Remember Shaggy Effect? I don't know the Shaggy Effect. Oh, like from Scooby-Doo? Scooby-Doo? Blue. Like the end. You can change the end.
Just to go over.
They both look wrong.
Just to go over some of these that we didn't get to tonight. Curious George. Like, do you remember Curious George with a tail or without a tail?
Yeah. Did you get that poll going, Frosty? I didn't see it pop up.
Oh, it should have been.
The Febreze.
Oh, I had it. Let me pop it up again. Oh, it says a poll is already active.
Oh, this one didn't show up for me. Did everybody else get the Febreze?
I'm not
poll?
seeing the poll now either. Maybe we did too many polls.
We did too. We ran out of polls.
We ran out of polls. They ran out of them.
Does anybody have
the supply shortage?
Does anybody have the Febreze poll up? Did it work for anyone? Don't see it.
Yeah, it's not working. Okay, so
just put it in the chat.
You know whether it had one E or two E's. What do you remember?
I'm going to type in what I think. So you guys just type it in since we ran out of polls, apparently.
Yeah, I remember Febreze with two E's.
Two E's, two E's, two E's.
I've never...
Little Wing says one E. Because Little Wing is always contradictory. That's why.
Febreze must have been the generic brand.
I spelled it wrong. So sue me. Yeah, that's the Food Lion brand. Free Breeze. It's right next to the Mountain Lion. I thought it was one E, and then I saw two E's, and suddenly they looked right.
Yeah, it only has one E. One E.
Yeah, Febreze is supposed to only have one E. All right, so since we're not doing a poll, let's do a couple more.
Yeah, so Curious George. Do you remember Curious George?
Let's look at him.
You can show that picture probably.
Here's Curious George with no tail. Here's Curious George with a tail. So put it in the chat. Does Curious George not have a tail? Or does Curious George
he have a tail?
Have a tail.
Salty Frog says tail.
I don't know for this one, so I'm going to stay out of this one. I don't feel confident about this one either way.
Artsy Fartsy says tail. I say tail.
I was never that big of a Curious George fan, so I don't really know.
Charity says tail.
Cosmic Carly says no tail.
No tail.
So the correct answer is no tail. Curious George had no tail. Why the hell would Curious George not have a tail is what I want to know. Whether I remember or not, he's a monkey. Monkeys have tails. But no.
Here's one for the ones that are a little bit younger. What about the Pikachu?
All right, let's do.
Pikachu on there? Yeah,
I got Pikachu. So Wanderer, pay attention to this one, because since you're a youngin'. Okay, here's the Pikachu. Pikachu with the end of his tail black. Pikachu with no black tail, it's all yellow. So black on the tail, no black on the tail. And actually on this one, it's showing brown at the base. So it's like a black tip or a brown base. What do you guys think?
I wasn't like that. That was what Pokemon was like.
Oh, Wander doesn't know actually.
Was like an in between for me.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't know this one either. I know what I thought. I do know what I thought it was. Yeah. I thought it was blacktail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched a lot of Curious George at the daycare. How in the world did I not know that?
Maybe you did know it.
Blacktail, end of the Blacktail. Wander doesn't know. No clue. I'm too old for Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because you're Gamma Little Wing.
Yeah.
Never been a fan of Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon in my house. I hope I'm right. I don't think there is any black. So Frosty, what is the correct answer?
There is no black in the tail. No black.
I don't know Pokemon enough, but I felt like the black was accurate because he has black on his ears.
Mm-hmm.
So aesthetically, it looks better with black on the tail. But apparently there's no black on the tail.
Yep.
Jerry said, no way, what? Okay, so since we're not doing the poll, we can go through these a lot quicker. All right, let's do the peanut butter.
Yeah, let's just end it with that. That's the last kind of good one. There's there's so many more we could do.
This will be the last
coming
one.
Up all the time. But.
What is this peanut butter called? Is it called Jiffy? Or is it called Jif? Jiffy or Jif? What's the peanut butter?
I think this one is going to be a little skewed. Mm-hmm. Because they just made the news big recently.
Yes.
Because everyone had to turn in their peanut butter.
Yeah, everybody had to turn in their peanut butter because it had salmonella in it. So
people have been subjected to that a little bit more recently. But we have Jiffy. Artsy Fartsy says Jiffy. Little Wing
said Jig first. She said Jig.
Charities.
She was trying to type it so fast that it got a G.
Charity says it used to be Jiffy, now it's Jif, right?
Jif.
Salty
with
Frog
two
said
Fs.
Jif with two Fs.
Yeah, I thought it was Jif. A Jif with two Fs feels right to me.
I'm kind of with Charity on this. Like, that's what I figured when I saw this, is that it used to be Jiffy and then they changed it to Jif.
Okay, so this is what it is. It's Jif with one F. And I think this one is a misconception of memory because the commercial says, Jiffy moms choose Jif. Jiffy moms choose Jif. And that's why we think it was Jiffy, because the slogan starts with the word Jiffy. But I did feel like it had 2 Fs.
2 Fs.
Yeah. Like, why would it just have 1 F? That looks dumb. Jiffy moms choose Jif. So I feel like that one, the Jif one, could be a misremember because of the slogan. And I feel like the peanut, like the monocle, could have been a mixture between the Peanut and the Monopoly Man. Personally. But the rest of them are really confusing. And some of them I feel like there's no way that could be.
Like, there's lots of these, and I think we kind of went through and picked out, there's a lot more of them. So if you're most convincing ones,
if you got interested in this tonight, and you had never heard of it before, go do some Googling, because there's a lot more of them. And some of them to me are clearly like, I think we just mixed that one up, But we hit some of the big bangers tonight that are like, what the hell? I have a new one, actually. Okay, have a question for you guys. You guys know Willard Scott? Let's put up a picture of Willard Scott here. Let me find a picture
Willard
of him.
Scott's interesting because he was actually the original Ronald McDonald.
Was he?
Yeah.
He was the weatherman before, what's his face, right?
Oh, I'm forgetting his name.
Al
but yeah, like
Roker.
on Al Roker from the Today Show. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can just open the picture here. Oh, that's a terrible picture of him. Hold on. Okay. Let's open. Oh, I don't know which one to open. It's either he's really old or he's really young.
Most people know him as being old.
Okay, this one's okay. Open image in a new tab. Oh, but it's tiny. Okay. All right, here we go. Here's a picture of Willard Scott with Al Roker. So clearly Willard Scott is the white dude. Okay. So everybody knows who Willard Scott is. When did Willard Scott die? Roughly. You don't got to give an exact year. But when did Willard Scott pass away? What do you remember? When did he die?
This would be a tough one. Never heard of him. Yeah, a lot of people aren't.
Yeah, if you don't know who he is, that's okay.
Like in the 80s, he was like the national weatherman. Mm-hmm. And he was like in the 60s and stuff like that. He was like, he did like kids shows, and he was the original Ronald McDonald.
Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
Does anybody know when he died? Don't Google it if you don't know. Just from your memory, if you know who he is. When did he die? Don't remember when he died. Okay. Anybody else before I give my maybe 1995? Anybody else have a guess of when Willard Scott passed away? Early 2000s. Any more guesses? All right, let me tell you my story. Okay, and I have to go back in time a little bit. So when I was in middle school, my friends had a book of the top 10 lists from David Letterman. And we would read them at like sleepovers. And one of the lists was about Willard Scott. It was like top 10 things Willard Scott would say. And one of them was, and I remember I'm in middle school. I thought it was so funny because I had never heard this term before. But the sentence was, top 10 things Willard Scott would say. One of them was, I don't give a rat's ass. I have a cheesecake in the fridge. I had never heard the term rat's ass before, so I thought it was hilarious. I was like 12. So I have a very clear memory about Willard Scott because of the rat's ass thing, right? So roughly maybe about 8-10 years ago, I have a memory of Willard Scott dying around early 2000s, maybe 2012. I don't know. It was some time ago in the 2000s. I remember Willard Scott dying because it sparked the memory of, I don't give a rat's ass, there's a cheesecake in the fridge, right? Right. You know when Willard Scott died? He died September 4th, 2021.
Less than a year ago.
So for me, that's two people that died and then they died again, because I also remember Nelson Mandela. So I'm adding Willard Scott to the list.
To the Mandela Effect.
Yes.
So yeah, and so that's a big one.
Everybody wants cheesecake now.
That was connected to one of the radio shows I was talking earlier about, is that there's a lot of people, like, people remember Nelson Mandela because he's famous.
Yeah.
And people remember Willard Scott because they're famous.
Mm-hmm.
But people also have these memories with, like, people in their social life. Like, oh, John died. No, John's not dead. John's still alive. Like, I just hung out with him last week. And this is happening on a somewhat frequent basis to a lot of different people. So it's not just like famous people, but it's happening to people. And also, one thing that they're putting on there in that show was people kind of like miraculously being healed. Like someone has cancer and then all of a sudden the next day they're cancer free.
And the lady, so we listened to a little bit of an episode of, I don't know what version of his show was that, Jeremy?
I think that was Dark Matter.
So an episode of Dark Matter with Art Bell, he has a lady who has researched this, and she might have even been the person who coined the term. Am I correct about that? I think she might have.
No, she wasn't. She called it something else. She called it the Alive Again thing.
She called it something else, yeah.
Yeah, like Alive Again.
So there's a lady who's like researched it in depth, and she might have even written a book about it or something. She says that she had a cat that died, and then the cat was alive again.
And then the cat was there.
So personally, her cat died, and then all of a sudden the cat was not dead anymore. Salty said, yes, I have a high school friend that is alive now. He committed suicide a few years after graduation. Wow, Salty, that is crazy.
I mean that would be a way to explain it, if somehow, you know, however these universes and timelines and dimensions work, like if somehow like realities are switching and in and out of other ones, then you're going to have realities where a person committed suicide or was killed in a traffic accident, and another reality where they aren't. It's just very interesting.
The King Tutankhamun mask effect. No, I don't know what that is. Emily.
King Tut mask effect.
Let's see.
You have to tell us a little bit more about that. That's interesting.
I'll look it up.
Let's see. Charity said Neville Goddard has a really odd teaching about people dying then coming back as a 20-year-old. But swears people come back. Salty said I was living away at the time, but everyone told me.
Wow.
Emily said first time that she had seen that.
That's crazy. Mysteries. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure about the King Tut mask effect. I searched it.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up and
but
we'll
it's
talk
just
about it.
It's like stuff about his mask. So yeah, really, really, really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I hope that nobody's mind is completely exploded or that we're going to leave you in some sort of bad state after this. So, this was fun to talk about, but let's not get so caught up in it that we start worrying about our reality. That's my advice to all of you.
And if you guys if you have like more to say about it or something comes to you about it later, drop it in Discord chat and people can talk about it in there as well. If you have any personal experiences with it, or if like you remember something later or something like that, yeah, throw it in Discord. And
this is our Discord.
We check that
Discord server if you're not in it already.
We get in there pretty frequently, so we can see what people have to say about it in there. As always, this show will be uploaded to Medium Ginny Lee's YouTube, so you can access that here within the next couple of days once we get it up. And you can find all past episodes up there as well.
We'll be back soon with RBA Paranormal. And in August, we're also having Charity Janice on to talk about some other really weird stuff. So we're going to probably end up with 2 witching hours in August. Yeah, I felt like I've shifted a few times, but everyone's always fine. It's small shifts. Glad you're talking about it.
So yeah, more witching hours coming soon.
To end this witching hours, I won't go into all of the things that I could talk about with this, but I'll leave you with this little nugget of goodness from the Raw book discussions, which if you have not been watching them, they're really crazy. They're all on YouTube, on my YouTube. This little nugget.
Go check out Medium Ginny Lee on YouTube if you haven't already.
Nugget of goodness will help us all heal a little bit from this crazy night of craziness. According to Ra, the entity of whatever we want to think of them as, or them, the universe gives us mystery so that we will seek answers for ourselves. So let's repeat that because it bears repeating. The universe gives us mystery so that we will go searching and seeking the answers for ourselves. And I feel like that's kind of what all of this stuff is. All of this crazy, weird stuff we get to talk about is like the universe saying, hey, there's other things out there. Go find it. Go figure it out. Figure it out for yourself. So with that, I think we'll leave you for tonight. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here with us for however long you were able to be here, whether it was the whole 2 hours or you were in and out. This was a fun one. Yeah. Don't you think this was a fun night, Frosty?
Yeah, thanks for everybody who came in here and hung out. And this was like a good, we were like, oh, we're going to have a guest tonight. So thanks everybody for participating in this because it was just kind of like a group discussion. We want to do more stuff like this. So
yeah,
good.
Charity said Raw discussions are amazing. If you watch those on Medium Ginny Lee's YouTube, you'll be hooked. It's so fascinating. Thank you, Charity. All right, everybody. Love you guys very much. I'll be back here tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for a reading night, which those have been getting a little out of control too. So I hope to see you guys. If you want a reading tomorrow night, make sure you get there early because the queue has been loading up and we've been going really late and some of them peoples can't make it that long. So I hope to see you guys tomorrow.
If you would like a free rune reading, I have one up on YouTube now. You can check me out at Giant of the Frost at YouTube and go participate in a choose a stack rune reading.
All right, let's find somebody to raid this evening. Who's on? Any of our friends on? Nabnia's on. Anybody else?
Oh, okay.
We could raid Nabnia. She raided us back the other day. Buenos noches, Amelia. I'm gonna continuously say your name wrong. Amelia.
Yeah, Nabnia.
All right, we're gonna do Nabnia.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Let's do that. She's doing readings too, so people can get some.
All right,
readings.
everybody. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.
Excellent.
If I don't see you
Bye,
tomorrow,
everybody.
have a good night. We're going to raid Namnia. Bye. Davinia. Bye, Davinia. Adios.